Okay, how about now? There we go. Okay, I apologize. The first thing anybody's gonna say is, "Hey, we hear a little bit of static." I don't know why. It just started happening yesterday, so I'm not sure what happened. I can't fix it right now, but hopefully it's okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. I see the meters working. No sound. Everybody's panicking. It's a little lag behind here, but hopefully everybody can hear me now. Hope you guys are doing well. Couple things at the top of this. I always get asked, what software are you using to walk the fields? This is going to be Paintballers for today, only because there is not a guns up link. And I did not have time prior to this to create that. So my hope is that we will walk this together live using this software, and then I will supplement whatever happens here with a YouTube video later talking about it. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I know you guys haven't heard from me in a while. It's actually kind of crazy how many of you guys are still watching my YouTube videos after what seems like, it's not been 2 years since I've done an upload, because I've done Guns Up stuff or Go Sports stuff, but it's been a while. And I have already talked about this, so for those of you who've already heard, I don't mean to repeat myself too much here. It is going to be more of a priority in 2025. So for those of you who don't know, I was going through some employment troubles in 2024. That's been taken care of now, so I can spend time, now that I'm more comfortable in my role at my current job, I can focus more time on at least being live. My plan is to be more active in live streaming paintball content. YouTube video content creation is really tough right now, just with my current schedule. I still would like to do it because I miss that creative outlet, but just know I think about you guys on my YouTube channel so often. It's a daily occurrence. I keep thinking like, and I have, the thing is, I'll even pull up the notes here while we wait for people to tune in really quick, and then we'll walk this field. In the last couple of events, I've taken a lot of notes about divisional paintball notes. So just to give you guys some ideas, so if you guys remember, some of my earliest videos that were very popular was why you're stuck in Division 4 or Division 5 and 3, 2, whatever. So that's a series that I want to update, especially because paintball has evolved since that video. So I would really like to update that video, and I have, just to give you a quick sneak peek, I have a ton of notes for each of the divisions and just watching games over the last year. So I wish I could say that I had more than just notes, but I don't. So I promise I am trying. That's as best as I can do. Last thing before we get started, I am still with Go Sports. I'm still doing the telestrations live. So if you have friends who are watching the sport and you see those numbers on screen or the angles being drawn, that's still me. It's going to be me, at least as far as I know, for the rest of the year. It is moving to more of a remote position, which is unfortunate. Not because Go Sports doesn't want me in person. It's mostly just a cost issue. So if you guys, I was in a mobile mini anyway at these events. So for those of you who wanted to say hi and see me at those events, it wasn't really happening anyway, which is a kind of a bummer. But I would like to do more than just telestrations for 2025. I would like to do more commentary. I've had a league here and there reach out to me to do commentary. Nothing's solidified yet, but that's really where I want to be. So if you guys want to help me get there, you're welcome to say something to Tom Cole or whatever. So anyway, let's get into it. I'm feasting on your backlog. Perfect. Okay. You can't hear the static unless you turn it up a ton. Okay. Hopefully it's okay. Sorry, guys. All right. So I know this is a little bit different than what we normally do because of Guns Up. This is all we can do for today, but we'll do more in a YouTube video following this. So as always, man, it feels like it's been forever since I've said this. As always, we will walk the back line, see where the angles are, and then digest each sides of the field. I know many of you guys have already done this, so I apologize for some of you if this is redundant. But obviously, at the very beginning, all of these angles here, hopefully you guys can hear that. Okay, it's very quiet. It's okay. These crossfield shots, definitely there. You do have some heads-up shots here as well. Admittedly, that's going to be a really tight shot, and I think you're only gonna kill people if they, you know, off the box, take a knee and start shooting crossfield. That's an option where you definitely could have a chance to shoot somebody there. I would imagine that there are shots crossfield. What I really need to do, I'm realizing this now, what I really need to do is I need to get somebody who I can trust to come in here and help me shoot these angles to have it come back at me. That's a good idea. I'll do that for next time. We're not doing it now. I'll do it for next time. Okay. So there's definitely some shots over this tower here for sure, or over that can. And even more so, again, those snake side, no, those are Dorito side shots. Really strong Dorito side crossfield shots in both the, like, what'd you call this, primary and secondary entries. We got to come up with some names here. We got the 1 and 2 spots. No, that's too confusing. But in any case, you have some really, really good crossfield shots. Again, you can come out here and kind of take a knee and shoot a lot of paint in that spot, in that zone. You do have some shots that you could put back at the home in this round. So, for example, if you find that the home players a lot of times are playing loose off the back, shooting snake way, or even shooting, this shot's really shooting right back at you. But if you do come out here right away, take a pause, you do have the opportunity to shoot back at the home player. That shot's definitely there. They definitely need you. I appreciate that, CJ. Thank you. For sure, I'm dying for you to be on commentary. I freaking love the videos where you break down how pro games went. Do you play this game with keyboard and mouse or controller? I play it with keyboard and mouse. I actually don't play this game, to be honest with you. I played it a little bit. I just have played too many Greg Hastings, and I think that's a better game. This is a good game, though. Of course, you have the standard heads up sort of shots here to get into the snake. The question is, who stops you? That's always the question. Definitely Dorito. Dorito will stop you. We'll look at that when we walk the Dorito field, the Dorito side, and then definitely this center tower here. So let's take a look. Yeah, center tower, this guy right here is going to be a huge problem if people are able to funnel up the middle pretty easily, which honestly, it looks like that'll be the case. However, this is the one advantage. There's many advantages, to be clear, about walking this field on Paintballers on Steam. But the biggest thing is we can see bounce shots. So we can actually see these shots right off this tower are absolutely going to bounce on this side towards you as you run up. So if you run up on the snake side of the field, that's a bit of a concern. I'm not so sure. I would imagine they exist also. Yeah, you can definitely see. It's hard to see. I'm sorry we're so zoomed in also. I'm mostly just trying to make sure that you guys can see these shots here. There's definitely some bounce shots here. It's hard to get them to do it in the game, but I would imagine that if you run up, you also have the risk of bounce shots coming off of that side of the tower as well. So, you know, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see where the home player shoots off the break, but the home player does have the ability to shoot these shots off the tower and then shoot wide. So absolutely has the ability to do that. And let's walk over here to the snake corner. I was about to say Dorito corner. Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought I had that private. What's up? So definitely crossfield shots here. Able to shoot. Nothing. Wow, you have no wire control unless you come out to the side. Nothing whatsoever. Yeah, we might have to do a different. Oh, I guess you can actually help me see these angles. So middle guy definitely going to be a problem. But you do have some shots you can shoot back at the home. This will also come back at you in this corner. So this is actually a really tough spot. This seems to be honestly just a bunker you'd get to get into the snake. That's all this really is. So before we walk the snake side, let's now walk the Dorito side. So again, off the break, definitely have some shots towards the home that are going to be coming towards you. Pretty open lanes in heads-up battles. You can't really... you can float. So like, let's say, for example, off the box, you come out to this tower and you blind the home. As you can see, like the home can't see us on the Dorito side. You do have some shots here or some shots out in this way. The challenge is that any better than just coming out to the Aztec? And the answer is probably no. I would probably just say go to the Aztec because you're more covered in that sense. So definitely be worried about that. Let's see. If you're able to, well, from the home, the home shots, at least as far as this is concerned, is pretty bad. You do have some shots in front of this tower that if anybody was to try and run in front of it or just right next to this and dive, that's definitely there. Not sure how common that'll be, but shots do exist. If we step off, so this is the issue. We do have shots on the Dorito side if we step off the box. But again, now we're super exposed to the home. So depending on if this layout ends up being like a double back center, like double the home, so let's say, for example, the home player decides to shoot snake way most of the time, which even the snake gap's not good, because the snake gap you'd have to shoot off of that beam, and even then I don't think you could really hit them. So you'd have, oh, okay, here it is. Duh, I'm an idiot. So coming off the box in this gap, shooting snake way, definitely have a chance to hit the snake runner for sure if he goes to the corner or into the snake. And then again, the same sort of thing is true here, where if you step off the box, definitely have shots over towards the Dorito side, but you have to be worried about the middle. Okay, let's see. I'm not sure there's really, honestly, I feel like this is a wide gap. First of all, this is going to be an easy gap to make as the two running and gunning. This will be really dangerous in higher divisions. It's still going to be a thing, but you might end up seeing that you double stack the home just to shoot paint back here and then push. And really the counter to that, two counters to that. One, you match it. Not really a counter, but that's one way to match, one way to, I guess, counter it. The other is to run up the middle and wrap on this guy and contain him. Right. The only challenge is that if the guy that, the runner, the number one, if you don't kill him and he gets wide and you lose him, then you can't really afford to hold this gap, because now the guy's going to be moving, up the field this side. So if you're able to shoot the runner, so for example, if you're able to run up the middle, shooting Dorito way, kill the front player on the Dorito side, now you can start pinning this guy from the back center, which is really good. But if the other counter would be to have two guns down on one side, this is really an exception to all the rules that you guys have seen in my videos, where you don't really want to ever have two guns down on one side of the field. The exception to that is, in my opinion, like D2, semi-pro, and definitely pro. I'd say probably honestly semi-pro is like the lowest division I would do this in. I feel like there's a lot of ways you can make this bunker running and gunning in D2. Could be wrong about that, but this would be, if you're wanting to counter a guy doubling up the back center by doing two guns down, you really have to hope that what you can do and a follow-up to that is contain this guy in the back center. So what you're hoping to do is either come out here and quickly over the top own this, which he might already be sending paint back at you, and that would be really dangerous, or you do some kind of containment play right here, which would be really dangerous for him. So if your opponent does double stack the home, you're the number two on the Dorito side, you get here and you start dumping paint in this zone, that's going to be really hard for them to break out. The only way that that's going to happen is if the Dorito player picks up on that and he starts shooting back at you as you're wrapping. That would be the way to kill you. Let's see. Can we get an overview? I wish, I don't know. If there's a way to do it in Paintballers, we can. I apologize. As I said at the top of this, I don't have a guns up link. I will supplement this live stream with a YouTube video that covers an overview perspective after. I just couldn't get didn't get a link to a guns up layout before. So if somebody has one, or as I'm doing this, if you guys want to make one and send it to me, I absolutely can cover it in the live stream. Let's see. Paintball video games should make the loader somewhat transparent. It's annoying having a loader up there. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, I know. It is quite a lot. I know it's not a lot of visibility. I wish that you could do that as well. Okay, so let's look at we did pretty much the back line for everything. We can do let's do the Dorito side now that we're over here. So we already talked about the Aztec. Going up in the Dorito one, we have some, we can hold the middle if they decide to push up the middle. We have a little bit of containment on that. What bunker is this? This is the Aztec. We have a little bit of containment on this Aztec into the snake side. That's right. This is the bunker that we talked about when we were on the snake. So we do have the ability to just dump paint in this spot. Really, the biggest trick is to try and hold both of these at the same time, which is going to be tough. So for example, if the widest player is in the Aztec, and you have this guy contained, you just have to make sure to also be putting paint periodically up the middle to make sure that the front player doesn't punch up the middle to break that open. Because if you are contained on one side of the field, the way that you break open that is to have the middle push. Push up the middle, start to wrap on the guy who's containing you, find where that is, and put him in, and then get your guy to go. So again, I wish I could show it from an overview perspective, but I can't. Okay, so when we go to the Dorito 2 now, or I guess the question is, who stops us going into the Dorito 1 off the break? So off the break, we don't really... Okay, so it's this bunker here. So if for example, you come out, you float, you shoot paint here. This is a pretty committed play, I'll say. But if you come here, now you can't hold this gap. I mean, that's a committed gap. You have to just be dumping paint into there. Don't know if I love that. To stop you from the Dorito 1 to the Dorito 2, it's the Aztec over the top or the inside. Not sure how often he will be coming on the inside. Zing. Let's look at the next gap here in just a second. By the way, if you guys are watching this live right now, or if you're watching it after the fact, please hit the... Okay, people are just guessing this password. Sorry, guys. Give me just a second. I got to take this off really quick. Either the passwords don't work, or my password's very obvious. 1 second. Not that I don't love people being in there. I just don't want to be distracted. I don't want a bunch of other noises and stuff. Okay, let's see. Crowd level. Not going to allow spectators. Point limit. Okay, that's all created. Okay, let's try this again. Sorry, guys. Okay. So... Andrew, I'll answer that question in just a second. So let's look at... let's take a look at this Dorito 2. Oh, Dorito 1 to Dorito 2. Excuse me. I don't really see the home stopping this. And it is possible for the tower to stop this. Okay, maybe the passwords aren't working, or I'm not selecting it correctly. Hold on. I gotta do it again. I might not be able to... Oh, that's why, because I didn't choose is private. Okay. 1 second. Sorry. Still learning this app. This game, I should say. I sound like an old person. Okay. Here we go. Oh, you guys saw the password. Who cares? I turned off my webcam. Who cares? The password is a bunch of goobly gob. Okay, so to stop us from the Dorito 2 to the Dorito 3 is going to be this tower, probably. There are crossfield shots coming over from that corner as well. Honestly, the corner is a really tough spot to stay in. So I imagine that will be the case, but it's going to be... well, I can't say for sure. It would either be your number one sliding into this corner, and that's a deliberate play where they are deliberately... Where is that? Is that this? Is that really what it is? Let's take a look. Really? No, we saw something else, didn't we? Oh, it was the 2 to 3. Okay. I must be confused. What? Sorry, guys. Give me just a second. What was I looking at? Okay, so why... What is this bunker? Why can this see this gap? So this is the Dorito 1 to the Dorito 2. This bunker can see that. If I go over here... Can I jump in this game? You cannot. Or at least I can't right now. Okay, so if I go to this Dorito and I look at that same gap. Okay, so it's this gap. Is that what that is? That is that gap. Okay, it's that gap. I just was having a brain fart. Okay, now that we got that cleared up. So there is a crossfield shot from this Dorito 1 to the Dorito 2. Where that guy can pump paint into that zone. Again, not sure if that'll be the Snake 1's job, just because he's trying to get down the Snake side of the field, right? If anything, I could see that being a deliberate play to stop a fast Dorito attack. If, for example, your team is pushing very quickly down the Dorito side and it's not being stopped, that I could see being the play as the number 1 gets to his spot quickly and does that. Otherwise, I could easily see it being, if all things are equal and teams get to their spots safely, I could see the number 2 filling into that as a secondary move and then holding the zone as the Snake player pushes up the field. I could see that, but I don't think Snake players are going to get there to get to that corner, and that's the first thing they do, because if their opponent matches them and they're just moving down the Snake, then that's a problem. So, and I also could see you getting stuck there. Okay, so now we're in the Dorito 2. We're in the Dorito 2. I'm not well, I guess the first thing I should have looked at is who we can shoot in the snake side. Sorry, guys. 1 second. So we definitely have some shots into this 50 box right here. Oh, hello. So definitely you absolutely could drop paint into somebody who's crawling into that spot. And it'd also be if you hear 50 snake, definitely take a look. Anybody that's actually pushed up into your snake side also can take a look there. If we go into the next spot, snake 1, I believe. Yeah, snake 1. You can see, don't really think you can stop anybody else past that, and then you're not going to see anybody in the 50. So if you can get to the Dorito 2, you can not ignore, but you can avoid a lot of the snake angles in this position. So then the question is, who are you wrapping and shooting at? So you can't see the home. Wrapping and shooting at the snake side Aztec for sure, and also this Hertz bunker on the snake side, that Hertz tower there. You can definitely put some pressure there. Wrap even further and shoot that snake 1 brick or cake, excuse me. And then honestly, can't even see the 50 for a while. Of course, you could see this tower guy if that dude was there staring at you. But that would probably be the biggest thing to worry about. So if, for example, a guy comes up to the middle, or you know a team that you're playing, they send a guy up to the middle quite often, just be careful of somebody taking this crawl here and then holding this gap on you. Or which was it? It was this one. That would be the way that you die. So just be sure, again, as I always say, when you go to walk a field and practice it, or after you do your scrimmage or whatever, make sure to set up targets in each of these spots on the Dorito side and snap at them. So that way you're not wrapping around the corner slowly, because all that's going to do is your barrel's going to poke out, your loader's going to poke out, so on and so forth. Okay, who stops us from going to the next spot? You could argue the Dorito side tower could. The Hertz bunker cross definitely can. Of course, the Snake Aztec could. I don't know if I don't think the Snake Aztec is going to hold this crossfield shot, mostly because the assumption is that guy is focused on pushing the snake. Hertz bunker definitely could, especially as a secondary fill from the home. So, for example, if you have a pretty standard 2-1-2 breakout where you send 2 people snake side, 1 dude in the middle, 2 people Dorito side, you could definitely see somebody either going to the corner, the snake as the number 1, the number 2 goes to this bunker, the 3 plays here off the break, and then secondary fills to this spot and holds this. That would be a way that that Hertz tower would be a problem. So if you get down the field fast enough, not so much of an issue. Like, say, for example, off the break, you somehow, you run to the Dorito 1. I mean, yeah, really, what's stopping you from making that next move? Let's take a look. So assuming the home doesn't shoot us in this gap, this first gap, the second gap, you're pretty well protected except for this crossfield shot. Yeah, that's what it would be. Okay. It's this guy who floats out in the middle. This dude would be the one that would kill you. So if he doesn't get you there, he's going to push up here and shoot you going to that spot. So that's why you can't just go right away. So that Hertz bunker now starts to become a little bit more important. So we have to make note of that. Okay, we already talked about this spot. Now the next, Dorito 3. Excuse me, congestion. 1 sec. I'm going to Salt Lake City in May for a work trip. Is it worth me staying an extra day to visit a field in the area on a Saturday? I think so. Saints Paintball is usually open on Saturdays. There's usually big tournament groups that go out and play there, and the scenery is really cool. So I think Saints is a great place to go. It's down in Pleasant Grove, which is about Springfield. It's about 45 minutes south of Salt Lake. So it's not super close, but it's not super far either. Okay, so now we're in the Dorito 3. Looking crossfield, absolutely that 50 snake is a problem. I would say that you're safer against the 50 snake than they are to you. So definitely be mindful of that spot as soon as you get here. I would say that as soon as you get to the spot, be aware of where the snake is, shoot this crossfield 50 shot, and then maybe look for some other snake shots. And then otherwise, the first person you could definitely kill would absolutely be that snake corner Dorito bunker right here. Anybody else? I mean, you definitely have the tower still. I'm not sure that guy would be a problem. You also can float off of this spot, and you could shoot that Aztec that you were shooting at before. Not sure you need to, but... okay, if we wrap, now all of a sudden is where we can get sneaky. Again, that tower is there. You can take this inside route as well. If you hug the bunker, I don't think the home can see you. But this would be an angle for you to surprise the home. You could then... Let's see. No one really stops you here. Again, that Hertz tower would be a problem, but that's assuming he's not dead already. So Hertz tower is there. Nobody stops you from going to this next spot that you wouldn't have already identified. So obviously don't make this move unless you know that there's nobody in this tower or the Hertz bunker, or if they're in the Hertz bunker, they're not looking at you. If they're not looking at you, they're dead. If you come here, you could definitely hold a gap crossfield. At this point, I would not do that. I would just look to push the Dorito side. Biggest thing you got to be worried about is this angle. This is, as a Dorito player for many, many, many years, this is the most annoying angle. It's mostly because it's very hard to find without a lot of practice. So for example, if you're in this spot and you come up to this bunker and you try to line up where this Dorito guy is, it is a very hard shot to hit. It's also tough because you don't know if this guy is in this first Dorito or if he's in this second Dorito and he's high. So that's the difficulty there. So definitely, again, practice those shots if you can. Otherwise, it's a pretty standard wrap and go from the 50 at this point. Just walk the field, know where your shots are. You've got a lot of angles. This is where you start to chop up the snake side, I would say, especially that snake. What is that? We haven't actually walked the snake. Oh, it's that inside snake lane. So you definitely have some good closure here once you get to this spot. I would imagine that this is going to be, obviously contested. Okay, that's the Dorito side. Again, I apologize. We do not have an overview to provide better context, but it is what it is. Of course, Andrew, no problem, no problem. Okay, let's look at the snake side now. We already looked a little bit at this bunker. Again, we decided that the only person that can stop you getting into the snake is this Dorito guy or this tower dude. I guess you could argue also this guy, but I would imagine it's going to be off the break. Somebody running up to this middle tower, middle wedge, or this crossfield Dorito shot, which would mean that they would have to slide into the Dorito and immediately start shooting this. And if you're racing that guy, this dude's not killing you. There's no way. I guess you could also argue the guy heads up could kill you. Oh, I'm just kidding. This guy can kill you as well. This would be a problem. So that would be the guy off the break to step off the box. As you can see, he's really well hidden almost immediately. This is where that snake shot's coming from. So be aware of that. It's going to make the snake route really risky. However, you can see that if I shoot here for the guy sliding into the snake, my pain is low, and therefore the corner route is much safer. If I shoot high for it, you can go underneath that paint pretty easily. So there is, as I always point out, there's a very big difference between somebody whose paint's landing here versus somebody whose paint's landing here. So you do have options. It's just a matter of changing it up. So if we assume that we already walked the Dorito corner, so if we assume we get into this inside snake route, what can we see here? So this is where it's actually a little bit nicer than guns up, just because I don't keep standing up every time I move. You do have a Dorito hold here, which is nice. So you can stop the Dorito 1, I believe. No, Dorito 2 to Dorito 3 move. So maybe we didn't, I don't know if we identified this as a potential stop, but this is absolutely a hold position on the Dorito side if you needed it. Whether that comes from your 1 or 2 on the snake side, I'm not sure. But this would be the case that you get to the snake in easily and you want to have a job at the start of a point. Let's say, for example, they fast Dorito push. You are able to get to the snake safely. This would be a very good response to that. The only trick here is that you reveal your hand when you do this. So not only does anybody in the middle or in this Aztec see where your paint is going, therefore they know the one is heads up, the one is cross, right? So for example, again, if your opponent slides into the snake with you and you're the number 2 on their team sees this paint streaming like this, that guy's going to say, go all the way, right? Because they can see that you're holding a job at this point. So that's the only thing you got to be careful about. There's obviously, this is a tough snake because there's a lot of different spots you can take angles on. There's nothing else really here that I would do. I would not do this. It's not really worth it in my opinion. You could kill the middle guy, but you'd have to be shooting paint there already to like react to that as too tight. And again, you do have a gap that you could hold crossfield as well. You could hold that gap if you wanted. Getting up, who stops this bump? It's definitely the Hertz tower. Let's take a look at it from his perspective, her perspective. Do they? Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be paint that bounces off, but that's definitely there. That paint is definitely there. So let's see if it splatted on the ground. Well, hard to tell. Also, these are not real physics. Definitely look for that bounce shot. I would say that Hertz bunker is what stops this next move. Otherwise, maybe the home. The home could also possibly stop it. Which actually then allows, so for example, if the home is here, find if the bounce is there. I imagine it is. That means that you still have the ability to do this. So that means that, excuse me, that means that your number 3 could push to this position. Your number 2 then off the break would play the home on the snake side. And he would, I guess, there's not really a lot of value doing that. So what that would look like is, now that I'm realizing, you'd probably come here, shoot this. This guy shoots this spot. So this would be your 3 comes, floats out here, shoots the snake. Your number 2 shoots this gap in the bounce. Your number 1 goes somewhere wide on the snake. This guy shoots this and then pushes up, holds this. Yeah. If they're not, well, yeah. I mean, you could actually stay on this just because then you're stopping the corner as well. But then as soon as that happens, this dude has to break out or has to float out. So anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but let's go into this snake 2, we'll call it. It gets a little tricky here once you have that outside zone. So that's the snake, or the Dorito 1 to the Dorito 2. You have this huge gap. That is a massive gap. This is a one where you could react to it. Also, that ref is getting absolutely lasered right now. You could react to somebody. It's just that this paint, that's a very small window. So if the guy's fast into this, you'll probably miss it. If they're slow, you can react to it. Otherwise, this gap is there. I would probably just hold it, to be honest. I would probably just shoot paint through this gap. I wouldn't try to react to it. And the same is true for the next bunker. So you have some really good stops from this bunker. We'll call it, again, the snake 2. This outside snake, what is the purpose of this? Let's see. Same sort of, the same job as this guy, actually. You have this gap here. Over the top. Oh, this is kind of a nice, that's definitely a shot for sure. That's a shoot him in the face or the loader shot. So be aware of that. That's definitely an inside play. Otherwise, assuming they're not at the 50, you can round. Put a little bit of pressure towards the Dorito side Aztec. That's just a pin. Are there any bounce shots from here into the... Nope, not from the 50. Nothing off of that pin, I don't think. Nice thing is we can also check bounce shots, too, in this app. For the most part. Sort of. Okay, so Aztec would stop us here. If we got low... If we crawled like this, the Hertz bunker should not be able to see us, but the Aztecs could still see us. So then that makes me wonder if those secondary bunkers are going to be shooting cross in the end. Because if you guys remember, I had said that Snakeside Aztec would not look cross, even though it did have a pretty decent gap. So like this one, for example, pretty decent gap. This is a situation in which you want to hold the field. So like you send both your guys to the Aztecs, they shoot cross, and they just hold these gaps. As long as you protect those, as long as they don't pass those zones and you protect the middle, that's a pretty decent hold point. I wouldn't think anybody would do this by default, right? Because you're just slowing whatever push, whatever, side push you decide to do this on. So it'd be pretty tough to transition from this to them being aggressive. That shot to home from the snake is going to go both ways, though. Absolutely. Yeah, this isn't a free shot for you. This is definitely... So as a home player, this is a shot that I would definitely be taking, especially because there's no difference for them to shoot you there versus the bunker in front of you. So, for example, if I'm this guy and I want to shoot at this wedge and I just put my paint here, I'm shooting both spots, essentially, without having to make any decisions about it. So you're absolutely right. Like, you got to be careful. It's just an opportunity. It's just a shot that exists to be aware of. Otherwise, if that guy's not shooting at you, is there anybody who's stopping you? Not if you crawl. If you slide on your, if you're doing a knee slide into here. Not really. I don't think the Doritos... I mean, obviously this guy could kill you. But I mean, that pin that center can, whatever, I guess it's a can, blocking so much of that. So that is the Dorito 3. Let's take a look at what that looks like really quick. I know we go back and forth a lot, but I'm just so curious. Oh, that's right here. So they could shoot you if they're shooting or they're already, or you're slow. Okay. Going into this Dorito, or not Dorito, so we'll call this Snake 1, Snake 2, Snake 3, Snake 4 Viper. You could call this like Seattle Sonic. Some people call that Python is probably what I'd call it. We would call this Cobra if anybody cares. Okay, so definitely the Hertz bunker becomes more of a problem. Biggest challenge is that, or biggest challenge for them is that you have a lot of different angles to challenge them from. So if they do not keep tabs on you and where you're at, you definitely can surprise this guy. Also, you have the ability to do a lot of over the top. You can't really do it in this game, but you have a lot of opportunity to use this little nipple here and challenge this guy. A lot more pressure towards the inside of the field. No free kills yet. Dorito is something that you can probably ignore reasonably. Again, the thing that would kill you is if somebody floats off of a spot and looks for you. So that would be something to be careful about. Otherwise, is there anybody that stops you into this next spot? Oh, this guy. So if they do end up getting tricky, so if somebody goes up to that middle tower, if you lose sight of them, you have to be very careful if you're on the snake side, because we're only making the assumption that they're at this back wedge or this one. I don't think they're going to be at that one, but you absolutely need to be careful if somebody goes from that bunker up to this spot and then starts looking for you, because that no matter where you are, crawling, kneeling, diving, whatever, this guy is going to kill you if he gets there and looks cross. So otherwise, if he's not there, nobody stops you from going to this next spot. There's a few bunkers we didn't look at, so we'll take a look at those after. You can kill people here as they try to transition out from either the home to the Aztec or the Aztec and beyond. I still wouldn't challenge the Hertz bunker from here probably, but you still can. Now is when you start getting into like the who's the sneakiest snake player. But also, again, Hertz bunker is definitely an opportunity kill on a wrap. Inside gap is wild here. So this is where, as you start to come to this spot, a home is still kind of a problem here, because even though the home can't see you directly, I would still say that the home can shoot the top of that wing on the other side and get some bounce shots into you. So for example, it would be this shot right here. Yeah, I don't want to lean. I would say that shot is it that one? No, it's the one in front of it, because I'm shooting, that's the outside. I'm shooting this shot right here. Let's take a look up close. So the opposite of that would be this. So if for example, I'm playing in this spot, that paint could absolutely bounce and drop onto me. So just be careful about that. Getting into the 50, as we were talking, Dorito 3. Dorito 3, definitely the first guy to look at. Check that guy off. I feel like cold all of a sudden. Okay. Check that guy off for sure. Check this Dorito guy off as well. Lots of Dorito action now. Dorito 2 is somebody you ignore at this point. You can't see each other. If you hear they're at the Dorito 2 and you're safe on the snake side, you know where they're at, they're not pushing you, definitely look to slow the Dorito side for a minute, and then, or for a second, and then, play heads up, as we always know to wrap and go. This is, again, if you want to be successful at anything related to playing the one when you get to the 50, it's really a matter of, as I've said, put targets up, snap on those targets as much as you possibly can prior to the tournament. That's the best way to deal with heads up challenges in these types of situations. If you need to push past, if you need to fight for whatever reason to win a point, absolutely do this. Otherwise, try to avoid gunfights as much as possible. 50 snake looks like it'll be Rap City. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. especially because if I'm not this tall on a on a brick like this, so I can't imagine you'll see the home player that cleanly. Maybe you will, but otherwise, even if you see him just over this little nipple there, still really great angles again to float off, shoot at the home. Again, assuming there's nobody Aztec or wide. If somebody is in that Dorito corner, again, so much ability to blind him out really quickly. You just have to be careful. Obviously, they don't fill right away. That's why that corner has a lot of utility, but I still feel like it could get stuck there from the 50, which we'll check in just a second. So otherwise, past the 50, wrap and go, kill everybody, shoot him in the back. There's not really much else to say there. Honestly, the biggest stopping points seems to be mostly from the Hertz bunker and the back center off of these bounce shots into the snake, with the exception of obviously any kind of sneakiness going up into that Dorito side 50 wedge, or anybody holding this crossfield shot from the Dorito 1 or the Dorito 3. Otherwise, there's really there's so much opportunity to get lost in the snake. There are so many bunkers. You think about being the number 2 here in this spot, and you hear there's a snake. Like, how could you possibly know which snake they're in? So that means that heads-up visibility is going to be really tough. It also means that this bunker is not a very good support bunker, as I would say, because you can't support your teammate here. Like, you can't stop the snake. You sure could stop let's imagine you're mirrored up. You could stop each other from going wide, but why do you need to? Like, you don't. So I don't think this is a great secondary spot to play. The question then is, what is the better secondary spot? So, we needed to do this for the Dorito side as well. So we'll take a look at that after. Sorry, I'm looking at crossfields. Honestly, it's going to be up the middle or crossfield. That's going to be the case. A lot of crossfield shots, such that the only way to really support each other is to be cross. So it's going to be this Hertz bunker, which is a really tough way, because now you're just directly fighting the snake player, right? And there's a lot of different angles that they could surprise you with, and they know where the paint's going. So it's easier to identify where the Hertz bunker is as a snake player than it is for you to identify where the snake player is. So that's really scary for you, because this is an easy snapshot for them. So really risky there. I guess we said the home player could also be shooting, they could be shooting gaps such that you don't know where they're at per se, but you could at least be stopping some gaps. So, man, this is a pretty decent stop, I would say. The thing you can't stop is you cannot stop that wedge closely rounding the corner up to that next snake wing, I would say. So who can stop the wedge? Who did we say? Who stops the wedge? It is the Hertz bunker. So I wonder if what that means then is, well, how would that work? So we're saying that this Aztec crossfield could shoot who? Could shoot the outside, which is also what this guy can shoot. So there's no reason for you to look crossfield here unless your Hertz player dies and you can't fill it. That would be the case in which, if they're not past the snake 2, they're not past that outside, we'll call it Python, which is this brick right here. If they're not past that zone and your Hertz bunker guy dies, you could definitely shoot this if you hear it in response. If you're playing heads up and you're like, hey, we lost so-and-so, that could be your reaction to that. Otherwise, that's a 50. That's a 50 hold. Can't really stop anything there. You could maybe stop that snake 2 to snake 3 or 50, whatever you want to call it. But that's a really, again, now you're so far up the field and you're holding a really harsh crossfield shot. I'm not sure that's really worth it. So then the question is, who can stop this? This is a decent stop, actually. If you're tall enough, I think this is actually a stop. Not for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's a stop. This is assuming they're already in the snake, right? So let's take a look. This is what, a pin? No way you're playing the pin. And otherwise, it's like right next to them, and then you're just gonna get run down. So okay, interesting. So it's definitely the Hertz. It's definitely the Hertz bunker shooting snake side. So what does that tell us? Does that tell us that you might double the Hertz? We'll look at the middle now. We'll look at the middle. you guys have any questions in the chat, please feel free to ask. I do read chat. Just try not to get too distracted if we're talking about different stuff. But if you do have questions or things you want me to show you, definitely feel free to ask. But we'll look. I did want to. What was it that I did on the snake side? There was something I did on the snake side that I said, oh, I need to do that on the Doritos. Where was I? Oh shoot! Now I can't remember. Oh, it was maybe bounce shots. I don't know. We'll come back to it when we remember. Okay. Let's look at the 50, or look at the middle, and then we will finish with some breakouts. So we already talked about these off the break shots that exist, right? So from this Hertz bunker, we have either the snake shot, which is really your only option off the break, that's like really immediate, because you don't have any. You could crossfield shot it here. You could just shoot paint on your way out, but you can't stop here, right? Alternatively, you could run up the middle and shoot this shot. Also a good option for the snake, but again, we already talked about this being, potentially stopped by any sort of shots straight up the middle or off of this tower. Is definitely a risk. Otherwise, alternatively, it's anybody shooting here would also be a risk. Killing you as you come up right here. So, and that's also the challenge is that from the home on the snake side, this is almost a free shot, right? There's no reason not to do this. So shoot here, hold the corner if you're going to shoot snake side for whatever reason. Honestly, the home towards the snake side only can stop the corner run. You can't stop somebody getting into the snake as far as I can see. The only exception to that is this shot right here. That's a tough shot. So it is there, does exist. A guy who gets really low into the snake is going to be very hard to shoot. Especially with how, look how quickly off the box that is. That's like 2 or 3 steps maybe. So, tough shot. It does exist. Okay, so if we want to stop the snake, it's probably going to be the guy that floats here, or a run up the middle, or a run out and shoot, which might not line up very well. Is that it? Wow, that's really tough. Okay, if we go then to up the middle, we already said we could shoot this guy. Oh, crossfield. We also have the Doritos. We talked about these. The entry point into the Dorito 1, entry point into the Dorito 2 if they go fast. If you see a guy who's deep along the baseline and looks like they're running super fast, I would immediately start putting my paint right here. Like, I would be shooting here and then immediately start to do this. If you're looking Dorito side and you saw them going fast into the Doritos, hold this for a second, but I would try to get out of here probably. And it's only because, so something that I notice a lot, that happens a lot with middle players is, I promise this isn't a tangent, it's very important to this. So let's imagine that we did see that play. So let's imagine that we saw somebody who took a really wide aggressive route and then they dove into here. Now, you are holding a gap to stop somebody in this position, which is worthwhile. It's just that this guy can do so much more outside of that gap. Like, he doesn't have to cross this gap, right? You're definitely stopping him, but he can do a lot. He, she, whatever, you guys get it. They can do a lot from this position without ever actually having to cross the gap. They can influence the game a lot, right? So the problem is that if you are stuck holding a gap and you actually don't see your opponent, it's worth it to get out of that position to find a better gap, to find a better angle to hold that player. So for example, if you're in this position and you saw that guy get there quickly, I would hold this for a second. I would try to check off anybody that would stop you, and I would try to immediately get here, and I would look to make this move. Again, you got to be careful about the middle in this situation, but I would look to make this move because now you can start to influence this guy a lot more. Now he can't freely wrap. He can't like freely wrap from this position. He can't shoot from the inside a whole lot. You can shut him down from this position while you're still holding the same gap. The only thing that, I mean, there's many, I guess I should say, but one of the weak things about this is obviously being more in the rundown range. Now you're in a position where somebody could very easily just trade out with you, and then you're no longer holding that guy. So in some cases, you know, depending on what division you play or how good the team is at responding to those sorts of pressure and holds, you might not be able to do that. The alternative, or rather, if you're at the home and you see somebody doing this, you just have to be like, if you see your teammate making this type of play, you just have to be aware of that, such that you try to have your teammates back, right? So like, if you saw your teammate get into that spot and you're like a front player, for example, and let's say you're in this position, let's say you saw your teammate and he's poking up right here, then you definitely want to be paying way more attention to that wedge. Like, you want to start putting paint at the wedge guy to make it so, like, even if you just shoot paint at his bunker like this, like if you just start peppering his bunker like that, on the snake side, you stop the Dorito route, and on the Dorito side, you stop the snake route. So for example, if you again see the same thing, this guy now all of a sudden starts to, this guy's really the dude to help him. But this is where now you can start to really protect your teammate. So now what's happening is you've taken a middle gun, dedicated it to Dorito way, which frees up at least somebody to do the opposite. So this, in an ideal situation, your front player, your Dorito attacker would be somewhere up here. This would be your number 3, and then your number 2 would take this spot. Because what's your number 2 going to do, right? Your number 2 is not going to do any more to stop the Dorito push than this guy is. So you may as well protect him. And that's what we were going to look at. We were going to look at what the number 2 should do, and where is the support bunker, excuse me. Let me take a drink. How's everybody doing? We've been streaming for 53 minutes, so we're actually almost done. It's good to be back. Hope you guys are doing well. Apologize for the nasally voice. What's crazy is I've been congested for about a year. Still working through that. But in any case, this does not appear to be the support bunker, at least in terms of heads up support. Also, not a support bunker. You can't stop anything here. Can't stop anything here. You can sort of stop people there. This hurts bunker. You can stop that Dorito 2 to 3 move. So you can't see the gaps. That's the thing that's tough. Honestly, the gaps that are being held are cross-field shots. That's what's happening. A lot of the gaps that need to be held, or that can be held rather, are coming from cross-field stuff. So like, look at this dude. Like, if, for example, your number 2s get super wide, like let's say your number 2 gets to this spot, now he can hold the Dorito side, depending on, I guess, where they're at. If they're stuck at the Dorito 1, this guy can do this forever. That's a really great spot. Again, biggest challenge is your snake player. You can't support him heads up. And then again, the opposite is true, that if your number 2 gets here, you can stop them getting it into the snake if they're in. Unfortunately, I don't think you can stop anything else after that in the Doritos. Yeah, I don't think so. Not really. So Dorito side, maybe a little bit less of a support position. This spot is okay. It's okay. Anything that any cross shot you take up the middle, just I feel like is just a ticking time bomb. In my personal experience, at least, anytime I make these kinds of plays, it is always just, I feel like I'm just waiting to get shot in the back. So maybe your team protects you better, but it's also just really hard because now you're not helping the side of the field that you're playing on, essentially. Okay, let's see. Middle definitely has a lot of influence over that Dorito 1 move. Can potentially, that's still a little high, could possibly stop that Dorito 2 to Dorito 3 move, possibly. So that shot is definitely there. Gap is huge, obviously. If you eliminate the Dorito runner, so let's say, for example, I guess we're kind of getting into breakouts, which we can do, because at this point, right, like, walk the 50, know where the shots are. We already know. If you get to the 50... If you get to the 50, you can surprise people pretty easily. This has to be a play that you do, like, that nobody sees you making. You're just essentially baiting somebody into a trap or waiting for somebody to enter a trap. But a lot of this middle stuff is going to come with just walking it and understanding that when you get wide, looking cross is great. You do have the ability to surprise somebody heads up here as well. I guess the only other thing we didn't really talk about is, like, bounce shots. So who could shoot that? Be the Dorito player, maybe, or the snake corner, which would call the Cobra. Nope, he can't see that. This guy's shots probably aren't going to bounce. Is it this guy? I don't think that's possible. I guess if somebody's crawling down and then going out, you could definitely shoot shots off of this and at least make him feel pretty scared. I don't know if you're going to kill anybody there. But definitely walk the field. Look to see where those shots are landing from the pin. Let's see if we shoot this. Yeah, those are going to be landing like right here probably. What about this pin? Who's shooting this pin? The home player? Ooh, yeah. That is absolutely a shot that would start making this guy panic. Yeah. Hey, you home players, shoot that pin for sure. Absolutely shoot that pin. If this guy is holding the snake side from the middle, that's an immediate shoot the pin like crazy. Can you bounce shot on that? You might have to be more specific. I'm sorry, Phil. I thought I saw a bounce into the snake. A bounce into the snake. Which shot? And I'll take a look at it. Okay, so while you're responding to that, let's take a look at breakouts. So we already talked about this. I feel like this Hertz bunker is really, really influential. A lot of your breakouts I feel like should be oriented around what you want to do with the Hertz bunker. And it's because if you want to stop the snake, then floating out here is your easiest option. If you want to stop the Dorito, obviously you can do this. You could possibly double it. I feel like that's got to be a specific play because that's a really committed move where your two bodies could get easily trapped in there. Would there be a bounce from snake 3 into middle? So this is Python as far as I'm calling it. This is snake 3. So if I'm wrong on your assumption there, correct me, Liam. Would there be a bounce from snake 3 into middle snake wedge? Snake 3 into middle snake wedge like this, back into that snake wedge. It's too harsh of an angle, I would say. Oh wait, shoot into corner of their 50W. Oh, like this? Like that one or this one? From the home or that mini temple? Okay. I think my angles are wrong, guys. Sorry, 1 second. We're not talking about this stuff, right? To like hopefully bounce back into the wedge. Is that what we're talking about? On the D side. Oh, on the outside. Let's take a look. Let's see. Maybe. I assume that's what you're talking about. Maybe. I would imagine that anything that bounces here is landing right here, but definitely try that. Wrap on the outside of the snake 3. Yeah, I was going to take a look at that after. Oh, 1 second. Phil, I'll check out the D side stuff here in a second. Where is that going? I mean, it hit. I would think so. I would try it for sure. This one may be I'm a little less convinced only because this close. I mean, definitely give it a shot. This close, a lot of your paint's going to be breaking because of how close you are. That would be the only catch there. One up. Oh, here? I mean, you're even closer now at this point. Okay. Well, in either case, in either of these two spots, you're really close to this bunker. It would be either that bunker's got to be super inflated and your paint's got to be a little bouncy. Just because that I feel like at least that's really close. So it would be kind of tough. Okay. We did have something on the Dorito side, Phil. So let's take a look at this. Can you bounce shot on that? I thought I saw one bounce into the snake from the home or that mini temple. So from the home or the mini temple. What game are you playing? This is Paintballers. It's Paintballers playtest on Steam. On the D side. So let's take a look at some kind of bounce here. Oh yeah, dude. Well, first of all, if this is what you were talking about, this bounce shot absolutely would kill that snake wedge guy. So then the question is, what about the other one? So yeah, dude, my man, he found it. He found the bounce shots. So these Aztecs on opposite pins will absolutely kill these guys. Liam, sorry, 1 second. If you're still asking me, I'll take a look. One up, sorry. Yeah, that, sorry. No, you're right. I'm not sure if those are the things you're talking about. If we're trying to look for a kill into the 50 snake or not. Sorry, Liam. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. You guys found it. So we can't see that bunker from the home, but absolutely from this Aztec onto the Dorito side wedge you can kill, and on this this Dorito side Aztec, the snake side wedge you can kill. Oh, I got it. Okay. Thank you, Liam. Is there anything else here? What would this pressure? Would this pressure the tower? Not the tower. No. This guy. Who's this guy? There's definitely bounces onto this dude. Who would that come from? This Aztec. Okay. So the Aztec's doing double duty possibly. So from here, you're either pressuring. Oh, actually, this inside, that's what it is. So the outside is going to shoot at this wedge. The inside is going to shoot at the tower. So if you shoot this inside shot, you're absolutely going to be threatening that tower guy in the middle right here. I would aim a little high probably. Let's see what the snake does now. So if we shoot here, let's take a look. Nothing, I would say, unless somebody's doing something weird right here. So, okay. Wow. Well, one of the nice things about doing playtests, or excuse me, paintballers, is that we can, like I said, take a better look at bounce shots. But I did say we would finish with backline is just bounce shots. Yeah, it seems like it. We did say that we would do breakouts. So let's go back to, sorry for anybody watching this if you get super distracted, or if you're for me getting distracted. So we did say this snake shot's super solid. If you do that, what is your Dorito side coverage? So your Dorito side coverage is going to have to come from this guy floating out, running and gunning. Sorry. Wow. There's got to be something better. Like, this is just so risky. So how would you do this? This is what you do probably. Number 3, shooting. Ooh, I don't know. So one thing I've discovered is that a lot of times, a lot of the layouts in the past 2 years have been that your traditional shots off the break to stop the runners are really rough, like from like your primary bunkers. But the shots get better as you get further up the field, obviously, but especially when you use blinds to do it. So, or you use these big gaps. So if I float out here really quickly and I avoid the home as best as I can, now all of a sudden I have those gaps, right? Now I have these shots. One, this is pretty risky, I would say. And it's not even that great, right? Because now all of a sudden what's happening is you're running out here to shoot for the runner. The runner could very easily just stop at the Dorito, and you're not any better for running out here, and now you're exposed to not only the home player but also the Aztec player who comes and shoots over the top at you doing this. So if they come to this spot and shoot back at you right there, you're dead. So then the question is, what does the number 2 do? So the number 2 probably has to wait. Number 2 shoots this gap to stop that play. Shoots this gap to stop the play. He can't stop the runner. The runner either runs and guns here, plays heads up, or guns down into the Dorito 1. And then your number 3 could come here, shoot this gap. If you want to kill the Dorito guy then you need 2 guns. Shoot this gap to shoot the Dorito runner. That's your number 3. What is your number 2 on the snake side doing now? Number 2 on the snake side could also do this. So you guys could have 2 people in this box right here. This guy floats out shooting this gap. You're pretty safe, honestly. Biggest thing is going to be the home player picking up on this. That would be the thing that would kill you. Because the home player... Okay, yeah. So your number 2, Dorito side, shoots this... This is what I would consider to be like maybe a default play. That's, you're following the principles of having at least 4 guns up. You're spreading the field, and you have good coverage on gaps for the runners. I would say this guy, number 2 Dorito side. Number 1, if you want 5 guns up, this guy's going to be, or 4 guns up, this guy needs to be running and gunning or getting here quickly and shooting. Your number 3 comes out here, shoots Dorito side. Your number 2 snake side plays behind him, shoots this gap, and then fills out. Your number 1 on the snake side doesn't really have a run and gun opportunity. So I'm not sure that it makes sense for him to like run and gun anything other than if you want to have a second gun shooting towards the snake. That could be it actually. So that would be 5 guns up. That's a strong breakout, I would say. 5 guns up, coming here, running and gunning, shooting for the snake. Guns down then would be either if you want to have your snake guys gun down getting into the snake, or your Dorito guy gun down getting into either the Aztec or the Dorito. Try not to do both, but you might have to depending on the gaps. But that's in the case that we want the home player shooting Dorito way. If we want the home player shooting snake way, then that means that the number 2 on the snake side gets moved somewhere. So what would the number 2 on the snake side do? Like you could interchange these, I suppose, but like this is such a strong shot to prevent middle pushes that either your home player could do this or your snake player can do this. It doesn't really matter, I would imagine. But in that case, because you only have one player in this box, this dead zone back here, he can shoot either side. This could either be an audible, this could be something that you just call prior to the point. But in either case, this guy is free to do whatever if you only have one body there. That means that your number 3 or your number 2 could shoot this gap and then fill out here right after. You know, shoot that shot for maybe 30 seconds. Fill out here, support your snake. Actually, if that's the case, I would probably suggest you're gonna need to stop the snake runner. So if you are gonna stay at home and shoot up the middle like this, I would say you almost have to shoot this guy, which means you don't have a gun Dorito side, except for your number 2 on the Dorito side shooting this. That would be the only one. You could risk it and do this. I don't know if that's worth it, but you could. And then I saw somebody in the chat say something. Give me just a second. So that would mean 2 guns snake way. I would put your snake guns down, your snake runner's gun down. That would mean that you'd probably double the home here, and then you'd have a run and gun out to this Aztec here. So you're pulling short for heavy guns, and stopping a middle push, which that actually might be worth it, because if your middle push decides to shoot Dorito way and you risk that Dorito body, now you're in trouble. So that's probably what I would do. Ooh, and you could, in fact, if you want to really kill that middle guy, you could have this guy in the number 1 position off the box, shoot this paint, and then come here. That's a strong play, guys. So visualize this with me, okay? You have your number 1 Dorito side, gun up, shooting towards the middle. Number 2 back center, shooting for the number 2 on the Dorito side. Your home shooting for this up the middle run, which I think is going to be fairly common. Your number 2 on the snake side shooting for the snake runner, and your number 1 on the snake side just getting his gun, just getting wherever he can survive. I feel like that's a pretty decent play. Your first ball had to be had a to be spot on for that breakout shot. I think the 1 should run straight into the snake corner, having the 2 transition into the 1. You could. I don't know if I love... Well, we did say that the crossfield shots from the corner are pretty good. So maybe you're right. Yeah, so if you're 1, again, they're super interchangeable. If your 1 just runs gun down, gets to the corner, he can start shooting here if he wants to have a job right away. Like if you want to just hold the point immediately, getting wide and shooting cross is a way to do that. It just slows down your attack. So as long as you actually kill people as long as you either stop them from pushing because of it, or you actually kill them if they do push, then it's fine. But if you get to these spots and shoot crossfield and they pass those gaps, now you're a step behind. So that would be the only thing that would suck. But you absolutely could do this where you get to the corner, you start to shoot cross, this guy plays heads up, fights his way into the snake, he becomes the 1. Absolutely could do that. You could also, this guy could also stop the middle push as well. He could put pressure back at the Hertz bunker, but I would say that's not good. You're probably going to die from this more than they are. Let's see. That way you have the stronger laner on the snake. I see what you're saying. So assuming that we're, because this is really only an issue, I would argue, at like D2 and lower, maybe not even D2, but I would say like D3 and lower. This is an issue where people really are kind of more specialized in their roles, that they're not as flexible. But I would agree that if your number 2 on the snake side is a stronger shooter, then this guy absolutely should do this. Your number 1, who's the fast guy, gets to the corner, shoots cross field. After this guy is done shooting this gap, he runs here, gets into the Aztec, and then he tries to play heads up and filters into the snake and plays the snake. I like that. Good call out. Okay. Again, I will this is just a live stream. I will supplement whatever we talked about here in a video with an overhead shot, hopefully. So that's it. If you guys have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the chat here in this live stream or in the comment section. And if I see them before the video, then I will definitely include those questions there. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's good to be back. Hope you guys enjoyed I know it's been a while, but hopefully you enjoyed your holiday season. I will unfortunately not see you in NXL Tampa Bay. I will be at World Cup. So that's sweet. And at least as of right now, I won't be at any other event besides World Cup. We'll see if that changes for whatever reason. But otherwise, if you guys want me to be a commentator at any of your regional tournaments, talk to your tournament organizer, show them my content, reach out to me. Absolutely happy to have a chat with them. I would love to do more commentary this year. But anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.